All right, good evening, everyone. Today is November 10th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting of the Fulton County Animal Welfare Board. It's a special call meeting. Call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. This is as mentioned, special call session for a dangerous dog hearing. First, we will do a quick roll call to establish quorum. Isa Webster, District 1, present.
Katie Factor, District 3, present.
Vivian Dunford, District 2, present.
Marley Wiggin, District 4, present.
All right, with 5 board members, we have quorum. Just to go down in terms of the agenda, if the board had an opportunity to review the agenda, could I get a motion to approve the dangerous dog agenda?
Motion to approve.
What was that again? Can you?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, so motion to approve by Karen Levy, seconded by Marley Wiggin. All right, and we'll move next. We'll have some rules and reminders stated. Mr. Law, if you can take the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a reminder, first we will have the reading of the dangerous dog determination, followed by our presentation of evidence. Each party will have up to 15 minutes to establish facts at issue, present witnesses, and submit documentary evidence. Followed by rebuttal. Each party will have 10 minutes following the presentation of evidence to rebut to the statements that were provided by each party. And then we will have our board determination and deliberation and vote. After the rebuttal, the board will take a vote to affirm or reverse the determination. The party of the appellant will receive a certified copy of the board's determination within 10 days.
All right, thank you, Mr. Law. Mr. Bowman, can you just a reminder for the board in terms of how they are to be called at the time of questions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So for just a brief reminder on sort of meeting protocol, the chair is in control of the meeting, meaning that she is the parliamentarian. She's in charge of who speaks and when. So please ensure not to interrupt the parties, other board members, or for our second meeting for any public commenters as well when they are speaking. Please recall members must wait until you're acknowledged by the chair before speaking. Helps us maintain an orderly meeting and everybody to be able to get their thoughts out and their point across and have it be nice and orderly. And then with respect to the dangerous dog appeal itself, please allow each side to make their presentation uninterrupted. And following that, we'll have the rebuttals and opportunity for board members to ask questions. But please remember to keep your questions germane to the case at issue. If it's not a matter germane to the case and the actual appeal that we're dealing with here today, I ask you please refrain from asking the question to ensure that we have an inquiry remaining only on the issues relevant to the case at issue. If we get too far afield of issues in the actual case, the board may rule a question line of inquiry out of order. And other than that, I think we are ready to go.
All right, if we can have the reading of the declaration letter by Animal Services representative.
Dear Ms. Richburg, can you hear me? This notice is to inform you that the following dog has been classified as a dangerous dog pursuant to OCGA 48233 and Fulton County Code of Ordinances FCC 34-282D. Valentina, a female brown brindle XL pit bull. This classification is based on the following incidents wherein Valentina on one or more occasions has caused physical injury to humans or other animals. March 3rd, 2025, Fulton County Animal Services Supervisor Jay Lawton responded to the 6000 block of Butner Road in reference to a call of a dog being stabbed to death. Upon arrival, she met with the complainant, who advised that his dog Dexter had walked up to Chandria Richburg and her XL pit bull named Valentina and was immediately attacked by Valentina. Valentina had Dexter by the neck and was shaking him. Chandria Richburg then proceeded to remove a machete from her jacket and stab Dexter multiple times while Valentina held Dexter down. Dexter died from his injuries. July 20th, 2024, Corporal Jay Walker with the South Fulton Police Department responded to Margot Drive and Saint Vry Path in reference to an animal dispute. Upon arrival, it was discovered that Chandria Richburg was walking her XL pit bull named Valentina in the subdivision down the street from hers when a 5-pound Yorkie came up to her and Valentina. Valentina immediately attacked and almost decapitated the dog, causing its death. Mr. Vincent Freeman, the owner of the Yorkie, attempted to separate the dogs, but Chandria Richburg tried to strike him. Due to continual issues with Valentina being aggressive to other dogs, the HOA president, Mr. Kelly Eden, had asked Chandria Richburg not to walk Valentina in their subdivision anymore. 2024, Mr. Travis Addison, who lives in the same subdivision as Mr. Kelly and Mr. Freeman at 3963 Margot Drive, advised that last year his 2-month-old King Corso had been bit by Chandria's XL pit bull named Valentina. Mr. Addison's puppy suffered injuries to its bite plate and its leg, which cost him $5,000 in medical bills. Per Fulton County Rabies and Animal Control Ordinances, to legally possess and house your dangerous dog, Valentina, and have her returned to the residence, there needs to be certain parameters in place. I have summarized these parameters for your convenience. However, this does not replace the actual ordinances, which you may find attached in Fulton County Rabies and Animal Control Ordinances, Chapter 34, Division 3, Public Nuisance Animals and Dangerous or Vicious Dogs. The dog cannot run loose or within the premises in such a manner as to endanger the life or limb of any person lawfully entering such premises. Written evidence that the animal is permanently identified by insertion of a microchip by a licensed veterinarian. Said chip must be registered with the chip parent company and Fulton County Animal Control within 30 days of an order classifying the animal as dangerous or vicious, or within such later time as specified by a court of competent jurisdiction, or within 30 days of the conclusion of any appeal of a court's order that upholds the classification of an animal as dangerous or vicious. The owner of a classified animal must be 18 years or older, annually obtain a certificate of registration for the animal from the county, and pay an annual registration fee of $100 in addition to the regular license fee. This registration fee is subject to change as dictated by the County Board of Commissioners. At the time of renewal, the animal control officer shall verify that the owner is continuing to comply with all applicable provisions of this article. The owner of a classified animal must notify Fulton County Animal Control in writing within 15 days after changing his or her address. Such written notice shall provide the owner's new address and telephone number. The owner shall promptly obtain a new certificate of registration reflecting the new address if such address is located within the county. Written evidence that the animal has been sterilized by a licensed veterinarian. When unattended, the dog must be securely and humanely enclosed within a house, building, structural fence, locked pen, or other enclosure out of which it cannot climb, dig, jump, or otherwise escape on its own volition. Such enclosure shall be securely locked. Electric confinement is not acceptable. No runners or tethers allowed. Dogs who live outdoors must be housed in a locked pen. When on walks off property, the animal must be on 6-foot or less leash, muzzled, and in charge of a competent adult. A warning sign, i.e. beware of dog, shall be conspicuously posted denoting a dangerous dog is on the premises on all angles, corners of the property. A copy of a current policy of insurance in the minimum amount of $50,000 issued by an insurer authorized to transact business in the state of Georgia, insuring the owner of a dangerous animal, and $75,000 insuring the owner of a vicious animal. against liability for any personal injuries or property damage inflicted by the dangerous animal or vicious animal, or a copy of a current surety bond in the foregoing respective amounts issued by a surety company authorized to transact business in the state of Georgia, payable for property damage or personal injury caused by dangerous or vicious animals. I've also enclosed a copy of the ordinances governing this designation. You have the right to request a hearing using the form enclosed within 7 days from the date of service. If the hearing is not requested within 7 calendar days, this classification shall become effective for all purposes under this article. This means that if you do not request a hearing within the 7 days, you must adhere to all the above requirements within 30 calendar days of service. Thank you, Captain and Dwyer.
All right, thank you, Captain Dwyer. Next, we'll go towards the establishment of facts of the issue alongside of any witnesses and evidence that Animal Field Services would like to present.
On March 3rd, 2025, Animal Control was called to Butner Road in reference to a stabbing of a dog. Upon their arrival, they met with the victim dog, Dexter, who's a English Bulldog Bully mix. Miss Richburg was walking her dog, Valentina, down Butner Road when Dexter got out of his fence and crossed the road and met Chandria and Valentina on the sidewalk across the street. A dog fight ensued. As the dogs rolled around, Miss Richburg did not attempt to pull her dog off of Dexter, and at one point Valentina had Dexter on his back where he couldn't help himself, and that's when Miss Richburg pulled out a machete and stabbed him 7 times. He was mortally wounded, and her dog, Valentina, still had Dexter by his mouth, and we have pictures where Valentina's bite imprint is in the dog's jowl. Dexter's trying to get away. He eventually does get away. He's bleeding profusely. He crosses the road. At that point, Miss Richburg is not able to control Valentina, and Valentina gets out of her hands and rushes up to Dexter and attacks him a second time. Richburg then runs over and is able to grab onto Valentina and stop the attack, and Dexter goes back to his house. There was a second incident the summer prior where July 20th, 2024, the subdivision right down the street from where Chandria Richburg lives, she would often walk Valentina, and there were multiple instances between Valentina and other dogs in the neighborhood. Mr. Kelly Eden, who's the HOA president of that subdivision, he had a 5-pound Yorkie, and while Miss Richburg is on a walk with Valentina, the Yorkie approaches them. Valentina bites the dog's head almost completely off, almost decapitating it and killing it ultimately. And just prior to that, right down the street in that same subdivision, there was another incident where Miss Chandria was walking her dog Valentina. A 2-month-old Cane Corso came up to them, and Valentina bit the puppy, causing injury to its leg and its bite plate, which cost $5,000 in medical bills, which the owner of that dog and Miss Richburg worked out amongst themselves. So due to, in the subdivision down the street where those 2 attacks I just talked about occurred, The HOA went as far to put a sign at the entrance to the subdivision that said no dog walking allowed on private property, and that was to keep Miss Chandria Richburg from walking Valentina in their subdivision due to all of the issues that had occurred. Over the past 4 years, Miss Richburg has been involved in 8 different calls or incidents involving her and or dogs in the neighborhood, which has been documented by the South Fulton Police Department. I believe Valentina is a threat to animals. I don't know about humans, but obviously when she comes into contact with the dog, she's very dog aggressive, and heaven forbid there's a child or somebody around at the time, they could get injured as well. So I do believe that Valentina is a dangerous dog, and if she's out, she does need to be muzzled so that there's no further attacks. That's it.
Okay.
And all of these did occur in Fulton County.
All right, thank you, Captain Dwyer. We can move next to the establishment of facts of the issue and witnesses or evidence placed or presented by the appellant. If you can take the...
Hear me. I also have a cold, so my voice is a little hoarse. But I'd like to start this hearing with a simple question. Why do leash laws exist? What is the purpose of leash laws? Leash laws exist because they protect people. They protect animals. They ensure, I can't get it to work. Hello? Oh, there we go. If I'm very close, it works. Leash laws ensure that animals are protected and that people are protected. There is only one reason that we're here today, and it's not because Valentina is a dangerous dog. We're here today because leash laws were not followed. Valentina is a people person. You're going to hear from her owner, the person who knows her the best. She absolutely loves people, has never shown an ounce of aggression towards people, children, anybody else. As you can see from the pictures above here, she lives peacefully with another dog of a similar size and nature. And you can see on the right that the dogs are always properly leashed, properly harnessed, and Chandria has never taken her dog out without a leash, and she never would. She follows the leash laws of this county. And the reason we're here today is because the 3 owners that Captain Dwyer had mentioned, they themselves did not follow leash laws. Valentina is what some would call leash reactive. She's friendly with other dogs with a proper introduction. She's done very well. In fact, I'd like to start with, I have a letter from a place called Petport Boarding Kennel. It's a boarding kennel in South Fulton that has housed Valentina when she has been out of town. I know you guys don't have time to probably read all these, so I'll summarize it. But the owners have said that they've housed thousands of different dogs. They have extensive experience in recognizing signs of behavioral issues, and it's their professional opinion that Valentina shows no signs of being overly aggressive towards other dogs. Is a very personable dog with people. She showed us no sign, even when around aggressive dogs or in a very active, chaotic environment, that she would go after pets or people other than in self-defense. I am going to pass this out. Is that okay with you guys if I pass the exhibits out?
yes.
Okay. Should I pass, can you pass it? Or should I? Oh, yeah, we can pass it. Okay. I know I don't have a lot of time, so I'm trying to talk fast. So the purpose of that letter is basically to show that Valentina has done well with other dogs with a proper, slow, and trained introduction. What she doesn't do well with is when other dogs charge at her. When she is walking on a leash, minding her own business with her dog mom Chandria, and dogs come out of nowhere, and these dogs are not coming towards her to play because, and I'm going to show you the video of the one involving the bulldog. That's the only one we have a video of. You can see that as the dog is off leash, Valentina is very obviously uncomfortable. She's distraught. She's not laying on her back asking to be played with. She's saying, I'm uncomfortable, please don't come near me, and these dogs fly towards her anyway and charge at her. And unfortunately, she reacts then in self-defense because in Valentina's mind, she doesn't know why these dogs are charging at them. I would like to play that video while we're talking about Dexter. I think it's like the second or third slide. Oh yeah, there's a picture, by the way, of her frolicking around at boarding kennel. Again, off-leash, proper introductions with trained professionals. She has always done just fine. The next video, and you can play that video. This will actually show the Dexter incident. So dog runs across and actually jumps, and scuffle ensues. And I'd like to play it one more time with the purpose of you looking. Valentina is actually stepping back. Chandra is pulling her back several steps. And instead of the dog, Dexter realizing that, what? Oh yeah, there's also another dog to the left that's distracting Valentina. So she's being basically approached by two unleashed dogs at the exact same time. Again, Dexter did not walk over to Valentina to play. You can tell by that body language that Dexter came over there charging at her, knowing that Valentina was not in a position to quote unquote play. Dexter came over there, unfortunately, to start a fight. The two of them did get in a fight and a scuffle ensued. What you can't see from this video, because it is far away, is unfortunately in Dexter's attack towards Valentina, Dexter's mouth got latched on to Valentina's face, and Valentina was shaking, trying to get her off. Dexter's teeth actually did a number on her, I guess, I don't know if that's a bite plate, but on her lip. I will pass these out. It's a picture of basically a full-on laceration. She had a hole in her mouth from where Dexter got stuck, with his teeth got stuck on her cheek. Miss Chandria had taken her dog to the vet the following day, and again, a few days later, they actually had to do stitches. Her entire face, if you read through the vet notes, her entire face, eye was all swollen from Dexter getting physically stuck and latched onto her. I am going to pass out a few letters. I'm sorry, I'm a lot of information here. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I made extra copies. I thought maybe there was 7 of you guys. That's okay. Sorry. All right. So I showed a picture of Valentina's injuries from that scuffle that you see above. Again, part of the nature of that dogfight was that Dexter was physically stuck. He couldn't remove himself if he wanted to. Valentina couldn't remove him if she wanted to. I also passed out a packet of letters, witness statements. I would say the first half of them address this dog specifically from neighbors in South Fulton who had either had interactions with Dexter and his blonde dog friend, or had always seen these dogs roaming, unleashed. Dexter being out and charging people was not a one-time incident. If you see the very first one, the first letter I sent was Dr. Aaron Dotson. He encountered that bulldog, bully breed, encountered that bulldog in July of 2024. The French bulldog ran across the road, aggressively attempted to attack my dog. I had to lift my dog by his leash while yelling and stomping to make the bulldog retreat. The dog kept jumping up, trying to reach my dog, and at no time did the owners of these 2 dogs ever come outside. So that was just one. There's actually several stories just like this in that packet. I should have highlighted it for you guys. I highlighted it for myself. Another notable one is on page 2 of our niece Warmly. She lives in Camden Manor, which is where Chandria used to live. At one point, she was walking her dog, and the blonde dog ran out across the street towards me, aggressively barking. The only way I was able to get back to my home without that dog biting me was because a person driving a car got in between me and the dog and started beeping their car horn to scare them off. So I'm sharing these to show, and there's more, of witnesses have seen these dogs. These 2 unleashed dogs here are the reasons that we're here, at least for that allegation. Had these 2 dogs been properly leashed and restrained, Valentina would have simply just walked past their house. She would have walked past the dogs on the leash, but instead these dogs were doing what they're always doing, and they were unleashed and charging with no intention to play. That dog clearly had the body language of going to fight, and Valentina defended herself. So those are some letters there. One other thing I wanted to point out, Chandria doesn't live in Fulton County anymore. After this incident, she moved to Fayette County. At the time, though, she was living in a neighborhood called Camden Manor. And I bring this up because I know Captain Dwyer said the HOA of the other neighborhood, had issues with Chandria and didn't want Chandria around. I printed off a letter from her own homeowners association that basically said in the 5 years that she lived there had never been any issues with her, Valentina, any covenants, rules, regulations, no outstanding violations. She lived peacefully in her neighborhood at Camden Manor with Valentina, and within her own neighborhood, there were never any sort of wrongfulness allegations. So I have the letter here. You guys may or may not want that. I'll hand it out. Okay. This is just a letter of good standing from her own homeowners association. Oh, let's see. So I say all this to say, and I would like to call Chandria if I have some time to just kind of get some facts out so you can hear from her directly on her experience of what it's like to have raised and been around Valentina. You've heard these horrible allegations, and it is no doubt a unfortunate accident that a dog was injured, that another dog lost his life. But again, these were unleashed dogs that charged at Valentina while she was properly leashed. So I'd like to go ahead and ask you a few questions, if that's okay. You can stay right there. If you don't mind, would you please introduce yourself to this honorable panel?
My name is Chandria Richburg,
And what do you do for work?
senior accountant.
Talk to us. Oh, sorry. Yeah, maybe come closer.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
You have to get really close to it for it to work.
Now? Yes. Yes. My name is Chandria Richburg. I'm a senior accountant as my employment.
And let's just kind of jump right into it. We're probably limited for time. Talk to us about Valentina. When did you adopt her?
I found Valentina as a stray on the side of the road, maybe about a quarter block from my house on July 7th, 2020, during the pandemic. She's been with me ever since.
Have you taken her to the vet regularly?
Yes, for regular vaccinations. She's getting her teeth clean and just any routine issues. She's gone.
How is she around people?
She's a very people's dog. She's a people's dog. For sure, because she's a people's dog. My mom was not a fan of dogs. I was not raised with dogs, and my mom absolutely loved her. Everybody loves Valentina, to be honest with you.
Has she ever shown any aggression, nipped, growled, anything like that towards a person?
No, she's very patient.
What about children? How has she acted around children?
She's very patient with children.
How is she generally with other dogs?
She gets along with dogs with the proper introduction. I actually rescued another dog September of last year from DeKalb Animal Shelter, and we introduced him to the household, and that's the dog that you saw on the screen, and they're best friends, and they play together. So we didn't have any issues. They never had a fight, never any aggression towards one another, just a weak isolation due to animal shelter diseases, and that's all we done.
In each of these three incidences that Captain Dwyer had spoken about, was Valentina on the leash the whole time?
Valentina's always on leash. I actually wear a waist leash because we often run sometimes together, so I actually walk with a waist leash.
And how would she do if she was simply walking by another leash dog?
The proper way, if it's another homeowner, we usually tighten the leash and kind of give each other space to kind of understand, just in case the other, or just to make sure their demeanor works with one another. So we usually tighten the leash just out of respect.
During your time in South Fulton, would you say that there was an issue with stray dogs?
There is a huge issue with stray dogs. There was always either stray dogs or either owners that was not responsible, that would just allow their dog to go out for a bathroom break, but unattended.
And so I think one of the first issues that Captain Dwyer had talked about was the cane corso. Was the King Corso on a leash when he or she approached Valentina?
Not when she approached Valentina. She was walking with a little kid, and the little kid, I guess, got distracted and some kind of way dropped the leash. And
2
before
minutes.
you knew it, before you knew it,
2. Thank you. You're good. 2 minutes.
okay. And before you knew it, the dog approached Valentina aggressively.
Okay. Was the King Corso on their own property?
No.
Okay. Valentina on the leash the whole time?
Yes.
Okay. Quickly, Yorkie incident. Unfortunately, small dog approached Valentina. What was the Yorkie's demeanor as she approached, and where did this take place?
The Yorkie actually ran 2 houses down from her actual driveway after us. When I realized the Yorkie was coming, I actually tried to disengage and run backwards from the Yorkie.
And how did you try to prevent that from happening?
I actually tightened my leash and tried to run from the Yorkie to avoid the situation, and I ended up in someone else's yard on their porch. And that was 2 houses down from where the Yorkie lived.
And during that incident, how was Valentina's demeanor as the Yorkie approached?
The Yorkie actually approached and engaged aggressively. The Yorkie did not come to play. Yorkies are not playful. Not all Yorkies are playful.
Okay, and then as far as the Dexter situation, I guess we don't have to get into it, but ever on a leash, Dexter?
No, the dog actually ran across 2 lanes of traffic. That it's actually a busy road, and the other dog that's in the video belongs to Dexter's owners as well. And the dog actually was stuck to Valentina's jaw, is why I had to defend Valentina and I. That's why she has the hole in her gum. She has a 1-inch laceration that she had to be repaired from a veterinarian, which we have the veterinarian bills and pictures.
And Captain Dwyer said you were carrying a machete. Is that true?
It's a hunter's knife that my husband brought me from Harbor Freight. South Fulton is a high crime area and there's a lot of strays, so I carry a hunter's knife for protection.
Has Valentina ever shown that she was dangerous when she's with another leash dog?
No.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, now we move towards rebuttal. Do we have any rebuttal statements from field services?
So in the Dexter case, she's showing you the beginning of the video, but as the fight ensues, there is a map. You can see that dog never approaches and stays back the whole time, never engages, does anything. She just kind of walks around. Miss Richburg states that she wears a laced leash, but having a dog like Valentina that is aggressive when dogs approach her and also very muscular, and Miss Richburg being small in stature, there also is the responsibility of the dog owner to be able to control their dog. If you're not strong enough to hold your dog back, or if your dog can take off running, yeah.
You just have to get really close to it for it to
Was on. All right, can you hear me now? Wearing a waist leash, that you should be able to still control your dog, which at the end of this video is when I was talking about where she has him on a leash, but he gets free and is able to run up to Dexter and attack him. Like she said in her own words, she does not know Valentina's history because she's a stray. So we don't know the history there, priors or anything like that. When Valentina was in our custody for a couple months, she was aggressive towards staff at the shelter, and only special staff were able to handle her when taking her in and out of the kennel. So on October 6th, I attempted to serve Miss Richburg with dangerous dog in her now residence in Tyrone, Georgia, in Fayette. There was no answer at the door, so October 9th, I sent a certified male dangerous dog serving her, which she received. On the 13th, she filed an appeal for the dangerous dog. On October 31st, I went out to her residence and completed a dangerous dog inspection. This includes the proof of microchip, the insurance policy, that the dog is sterilized. She provided that. Signs showing that the dog, beware dog signs are up. And then also that she had purchased 2 muzzles for Valentina to wear, along with a leash that was 6 feet or shorter. So the inspection was completed, and Ms. Richburg is in compliance of the dangerous dog. That's it.
Would the appellant like to place a rebuttal?
I have just a brief rebuttal. I'm so glad that panels like this exist to hold the government accountable and law enforcement accountable for enforcing and following their very own laws. As you guys are probably aware, the Fulton County ordinance for dangerous dogs lay out what kind of notice is required in these situations. So under section 34-282, the law explicitly and clearly states when a dog control officer determines that a dog is subject to this kind of classification, the dog officer shall mail a dated notice to the owner within 72 hours. This notice was supposed to happen 72 hours after Captain Dwyer determined her to be dangerous. That would have been in March of 2025. Captain Dwyer did not serve us with dangerous dog designation for nearly 7 months after that. What purpose is laws like this that our legislator has come up with if law enforcement themselves cannot or will not follow them? So for that basis alone, I would ask for failure of the government, for the county to essentially follow their own laws. I would ask that this be dismissed either on grounds of failing to give proper notice, as well as the fact that there's no evidence that Valentina needs this level of intervention that the dangerous dog classification requires. That when she is on a leash, which she always is, as long as other owners are also have their dogs on leashes, everything's going to be okay. That is the purpose of leash laws. And I would just ask that you consider the other parties and their responsibilities. We all have to be responsible for our other dogs. She tried to back up. When a dog's charging at you, I don't know what more you can do in that situation. So I would just ask that you find Valentina not to be a dangerous dog.
All right, thank you. Council Bowman, can I just get a point of clarification? Is this an opportunity for the board to ask questions to either side?
If I understand you, I just want to make sure I understood you correctly and heard you correctly. Now appropriate to ask questions, is that what you said?
Yes, to either.
Yeah. Yes, you could. I believe this would be the proper time to raise any questions you might have.
Mr. Law?
Germane to the subject of the appeal.
Yeah. Mr. Law, how much time do we have for that? 20. I'm sorry? 20, so 10 for each side? Okay. Does the board members have any questions for Captain Dwyer? If so, please raise your hand so I can recognize your question. Yoshina?
All right, good evening, everyone. The only question I have is, I know you mentioned that prior to her adopting him, is that correct, or he was a stray dog? Do we have any documentation of his behavior before then? Do you have that with you?
We don't. That's the thing. We have no history on what the demeanor was prior.
Okay, thank you.
Vivian, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
I had 2 questions. So one, with regard to the delay in serving, what was the reason for?
So it does say within 72 hours. There was a bond order on October 5th that Ms. Richburg got, saying the judge said that Valentina could be released to her. And so that was at that time that I knew she was going to go back out. If she complied with the dangerous dog, that Valentina was going to go back out into public. She was deemed dangerous then, which the next day I did try to serve her at her residence, but she was not there. And so then on the 9th, I sent certified mail, so she was served in the proper amount of time.
Okay, thank you for that. And then something that I'm a little confused on, I think you had mentioned that when Valentina was at the shelter that she, like, getting in and out of the kennel, when was she in the care of the shelter?
So after this incident, we confiscated Valentina, and she was at the shelter this entire time. Miss Richburg picked her up on October 31st, so she's been at the shelter this entire time.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That's all.
I did have a follow-up question in reference to the 7 months. Where did the 7 months period come from?
I have no idea.
Okay. But you're saying that you did properly file within the 7 months?
Correct. So the law is vague. It doesn't say, it just says when the officer determines the dog's dangerous. Well, I determined her dangerous when I knew she was going to go back out into the public because the judge had issued the bond order. And so that's when she was deemed dangerous because I don't want her on the streets, you know, harming another animal. So.
Marley, go ahead.
So under Fulton County Code, section 34-196 definitions, it defines a dangerous dog as any dog that causes a substantial puncture of a person's skin, aggressively attacks in a manner that causes a person to reasonably believe the dog poses an imminent threat, while off the owner's property, kills or seriously injures a pet animal, and then provides a carve-out for no dog shall be classified for actions that occur while the dog is being used by law enforcement or military officer to carry out the law enforcement or military officer's duties. Nor if it's with a person who at the time was tormenting, abusing, or has been observed or reported to have tormented or abused the dog, or was committing a willful trespass, or was committing to or attempting to commit a crime. In your view, which of these apply to Valentina, and why would none of the exceptions, or is there an existing exception that would apply to her?
Well, it's to a human or an animal, so this would be the third time that Valentina's been involved in a dog death or a dog injury.
Are there any other questions for Captain Dwyer? Okay, so we'll close that piece. We can move on to questions for the appellant. Does the board have any questions for? Please raise your hand. Go ahead, Karen.
You guys mentioned that muzzles were purchased. When was that, and how does that apply to this case?
So you owned a muzzle, right? I think she had already just owned a muzzle for her dog for when that she wanted to adopt another dog. She wanted to make sure that a slow introduction, that there would be no signs of aggression. So she had already had that. It comes into play here because she wanted to get her dog out of dog jail at the animal shelter pending this hearing, and in order to do that she had to basically comply as if the dog was already deemed dangerous. So she basically went ahead and did everything to show Captain Dwyer so that she could have the dog pending this hearing.
Which we did not know. The dog was in custody for 7 months at the animal shelter, and she was returned in debilitating conditions. Also, we was unaware. We thought once we received the notice that we had 7 days to request a hearing, which we did, but we was unaware we can get the dog during the time that we're waiting for the hearing. And when we was given a judge order to give the dog back, we was told no. And that's when Captain Dwyer rebuttal was to come out now to serve us the 72-hour notice that was supposed to be served back in March. So we was complying to whatever the notice said to get the dog back.
I have a question for the appellant. In the 3 incidents that were raised, what was the initial demeanor of Valentina, and how was Valentina separated from those dogs?
The last incident was separated because I had to jump into action to defend Valentina and I. The Yorkie, the dog died in that incident, but Valentina's demeanor towards the dog was not aggressive. The dog approached her aggressive. Valentina was on a leash each time, and each dog approached her aggressively.
And in that situation, you had backed up all the way. You ended up in that scuffle on someone's front porch, removed from the street, so they couldn't go backwards any further, and the dog kept coming.
Just like in the other video, you saw me start to go backwards again, because again, in South Fulton, there is a problem with unleashed dogs. We walk 3 times a day. I work from home, so this is our peace of mind. This is our bonding time. So this is the issue sometimes you run into if no one's leashing their dogs. There are responsible owners, but they're more bad than good.
So I'm sorry, how, in the cane corso incident, how was that dog separated from Valentina?
I separate. And the owner actually showed up, the dog owner, which is actually friends with us, and was very apologetic because his daughter was using the phone versus holding the leash.
How did you get them apart?
I separated by pulling Valentina's neck, and that kind of takes her wind a little bit, and then she let up from the cane corso.
So my last question, so in all these 3 incidences, from what I'm hearing, the owners of the other dogs were not present or were not involved in separating the dogs?
No.
Were you hurt in any of these incidents?
I did get scratches from the Yorkie incident because the Yorkie owners swung at me and the dog.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Go ahead.
So have you familiarized yourselves with the specific code that applies to dangerous dog?
And I can help you answer. I know you had asked her about, are you talking about the exceptions?
Yeah, so I am just curious, in your view, I think the item we're talking about is paragraph 3, while off the owner's property, kills or seriously injures a pet animal, is a dangerous dog.
Yes.
And so I am curious, in your view, I understand the argument of self-defense and all the circumstances of these, but it does seem to me like the law is pretty cut and dry. So I am curious, in your view, what specifically from the law provides an exception here?
Yes, and I think that's a good point, because it does say, while off the owner's property kills a pet animal, and then the last subsection, which you had mentioned, says that no dog shall be classified as a dangerous dog if the person injured, which they don't have a specific subsection for animal, was at the time committing a trespass or attempting to commit an offense under Chapter 5 of Title 16. So in this situation, the other dogs were technically committing a criminal trespass. A criminal trespass is basically just an interference with property. So unfortunately, in Georgia, dogs are property. And so Chandria was basically walking a dog when other dogs were committing a criminal trespass onto her property, basically, into her enjoyment and use of Valentina. Therefore, that would technically be an exception. The Chapter 5, Title 16, those are usually all of the charges that really apply to humans. It's things like battery, murder, all that other stuff that doesn't apply here. But since it's talking about humans, it's almost like the dogs, there's an exception for humans committing a battery. So I'm asking you to make that same exception for a dog committing a battery, essentially, that these dogs came and committed a criminal trespass. These dogs came and committed a battery. Similarly, as a human would, you'd have the exception.
Go ahead, Karen.
So you've had Valentina since October 31st. What measures are being taken to prevent a future incident? I do hear what you're saying about other dogs and stray dogs and dogs charging, but this is not the first incident. So how are things going to be different?
how things is going to be different after this last incident. I was fed up. I sold my house and bought another house in a different, better county, and I see dog owners in my new county, and everybody walks their dog on a leash and is very responsible. So gratefully, I don't have that issue anymore, but we do have a fenced-in backyard now, which we did too. But so that's my answer to that. Why we won't go through it again? We're not in Fulton County anymore.
So in the event an off-leash dog were to approach Valentina, how would the situation be safe?
I have a dog now that I walk in the neighborhood, and we haven't, since I've been there for 7 months, have been approached by a dog. But however, my neighbors are really neighborly, and there was an incident where my husband was walking Prescott, which is our other dog, and the dog was loose. She stopped and said, "Hey, one of our neighbors' dogs got out. Don't go that way. I almost hit him." So I think there's measures put in place where people are neighborly and friendlier and people are more responsible in that neighborhood. So, I mean, but right now, I don't walk her. She's only in the backyard now when she goes out, because we have a huge fenced-in backyard. So it's an acre of land, so we don't need to leave the property anyway.
Any more questions from the board? So with no other questions for the appellant, we can move towards voting. Could I get a motion to affirm the classification of dangerous dog?
Motion to affirm the classification.
All right, could I get a second? Second. All right, so motion to, this is to vote, yeah. So motion first, sorry. We've already seconded, since we've already seconded to move to a vote, she did have another question.
Not for them, for the board.
A question like to discuss amongst the board?
Yes.
Yeah, you can have a discussion following the second
Okay.
before you vote.
Okay.
So, just for clarification for myself, the motion is to affirm that.
To keep the classification of, yes, that will be the vote, yeah. Okay, so just to confirm, we have the motion to place the vote was made by Marley Wiggins, seconded by Karen Levy. So if I can get a show of hands on affirming the classification of dangerous dog for the dog Valentina. We have 2 yeses. So with the majority rules, I guess the classification is not affirmed. Is that is?
That's correct. But in order to make a determination, you have to have an affirmative vote. So if the next step would be for someone to move to overturn the dangerous dog classification.
Okay. Could I get a motion to overturn the dangerous dog classification?
I make a motion to overturn the dangerous dog classification.
Okay, so the motion has been first, the motion first passed by Katie Factor, seconded by Yoshina Colbert Bradford. So we'll move to vote on overturning the classification of dangerous dog. Could I get a show of hands? So majority of 4 to overturn the dangerous dog classification for Valentina. Anything else that we need to do, Councilman Bohm?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
A written decision will issue, as Mr. Law read earlier, that we provide certified written decision. And then, being that the classification was overturned, I don't believe there would be anything further required at that point. The appellant will be free to continue to have the dog under her own discretion, essentially.
Okay, so we can move then to adjourn this special call meeting. Could I get, okay.
Seconded.
All in favor to adjourn? All right. So this special call meeting has now been adjourned, and it is 5:54 p.m.
Got a 5-minute recess, start at 6.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.